how to make a three-dimensional or 3D snowflake. So you're going to need 6 pieces of paper that are squared. So I'm going to use these small pieces of paper. I cut these into 4 1/4 inch squares, and I did that by taking a sheet of typing paper and then cut it into a square, like cutting the bottom part off so it's a square. And then I did this twice, and then I cut them into fourths, and I had a couple extra because there's 4 on a page, and then I needed 2 more, so that's why I needed 2 sheets of paper to get me these. But you can also make them using 6 sheets of typing paper, and it makes a huge snowflake about this big. So I'm going to show you a template how to make it using a large one so you can see it a little bit better. So if you're starting out with a sheet of paper and you need to make it a square, the easiest way to do that is to fold this like here, line it up on the bottom like this, and then you don't need to make that fold, but you see that line there, that's what you're going to cut off. That's how I got to here, okay? So it doesn't really matter the size of your square as long as they're all the same. So first thing you're gonna do, first let's talk about supplies. So you're gonna need a ruler. That's very helpful, at least at the beginning when you're first learning how to make these. You need a pencil. You need tape, Scotch tape. You could use a stapler if you're not making small ones instead of tape, but tape or stapler, tape works great. And you're gonna need a scissor. And you're gonna need your 6 squares of paper. So here's my 6 squares. I'm gonna sample with this large one. First thing you're gonna do with your square sheet of paper is fold it into a triangle like this. Checking your corners to make sure that they're, pretty even. It doesn't have to be completely perfect. And I'm gonna trim this a little bit because it's just a little bit off. Okay, so I've got a triangle, fold it in half. Then I'm going to fold it in half again, like this, okay? Next comes your ruler and pencil, but you have to do this very carefully in the right place or you're gonna mess up. You see how this has a bottom fold right here, but this is open? You're going to be on the bottom fold, okay? And you're gonna draw lines, tilting it like this, so the bottom fold is at an angle, all right? Not like this, but like this. And you're gonna cut up to those 2 folds. And you're gonna draw some lines. 3 lines is pretty good. If you wanted to draw more lines and make them narrower, it just means more work, but it's more intricate. So you can do it that way, but I'm gonna sample it with 3 lines. And I'm gonna draw my lines going vertical up and down, starting from this side fold here. And then this is open at the top. So I'm gonna draw my lines right now. And I want to make my lines fairly even in distance apart from each other. And you're not going to draw the line to the very top. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm just kind of eyeballing this because I've done this so many times that you could measure it out if you like. In fact, this one I think I'm going to make in 4 just to show you a little bit more variety. So you can see right now I've drawn 4 lines. It's going to be a little bit more work than just 3 lines. If I wanted to do 3 lines, I would have spread them out a little bit more. Again, this fold is the fold on the side down at the bottom. This is the open, and I draw lines going up. But see how I have a little bit of space, like a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of where the line doesn't reach to the top of the page? You don't want to cut all that way, so I left that little bit of space. Now I'm going to take my scissor, starting from the bottom fold, and I'm going to cut those lines. Okay, see how they're cut? I'm going to open this up right now. Okay, so I'm getting this. All right, you've got all these little fringes. Fold it out flat. You might have to uncrease at the fold marks. And here's where your pencil kind of comes in. Well, you don't need your pencil, but you could help your pencil with rolling it. You're going to take those 2 smallest ones, the little square triangle things, fold it together, make a little loop. All right, like that. Try and make it even, and that's where the tape comes in. And I'm going to tape that together like this. Okay, see what I've done? Now I'm going to take the next 2 squares that made triangles, but I'm going in the opposite direction. I'm going to fold those over so that they meet like this. And I'm going to tape those together. Just a tiny piece of tape is all you need. And as you can imagine, now I'm going to flip it back. This is my front side, the very first one I did. The next sides, squares together, fold it over, loop it around, make it so it reaches that point like this. Tape that together. Fold it again, back to the other side. And I've got 2 left. Tape those, like that. And the last one. So this is 1/6 of the snowflake. And I have to make this 6 times, okay? Once I have all these together, pretend I have 6 of them, you're going to connect them right here and then staple them around so that they are all connected. And then you're going to staple them together in the middle to make your quite large snowflake. So this snowflake is going to be about this tall. Okay, and so I'm going to pause right now and get a few more of these made for you. Okay, so I'm going to review that with you on one last part of the snowflake, but I'm going to show it to you without using the ruler and the pencil. So again, here's my fold. And I have it at an angle, and the all open side is like parallel, up and down, vertical. Here's my 2 folds at the top. I'm going to take my scissor right now, and I'm going to do 4 cuts. You could do 3 if you spread them out. I don't cut all the way through. I'm doing about 1.5 inches apart or so. The distance from the edge to those 2 folds, or the cut to those 2 folds, is the same each time. So I'm kind of eyeballing. I have to cut longer on each one to like get that even. Not cutting it all the way through. I'm leaving a little bit. Okay, like this. See how the distance there is the same each time about? Now I'm going to open this up again. Show you one more time how to loop it all together with your tape. Here's what I have. I'm going to take that small square in the middle, fold it around. This is the smallest one, and I'm going to tape that together. Again, you could use a stapler if you had one. If you can get that stapler to work, and the smallest one is the hardest one to do. Then I'm going to flip it over. It's every other. You flip back and forth. The next side square, taping that together. It just takes one little piece of tape each time. You do not need to tape on both sides. Flipping it back over. This is the third one. Folding it to where those points meet. Taping that together. Fourth one, I'm flipping it again, so it's every other. Making those points meet. Tape. And the last one. Points together. Tape it. And so you can see I have made 6 of these. They're all laying here on the table. And now comes the stapling part. You do need a staple for this. Tape is not going to hold it together well. So I like to do it by 3s. I also look to see which is, this is the largest one, and I have that always going to the same direction. So for me, I'm going to my right, your left. So the largest one is always going the same direction. The largest one going in the same direction. And I like to do half and half. So there's 3. I'm going to take all those points together. See what I've done here? And I'm going to staple that. And then I'm going to take my other set. Again, I'm keeping the largest one. Let's see, that would be this side. Always going the same direction. Staple that together. So I've got basically 2 sets of this. Now, I'm going to slide these in together, and I'm going to push them in together pretty close. I also want to double check if you want Like I need to flip it this way so that it's still continuing with that pattern of the largest going to my right. I'm going to slide that in, quite a bit of an overlap here so that it's not flimsy in the middle. So I'm going in quite a bit, doubling up almost to like the second set of squares. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm going to do a couple staples there and make sure that it's not twisted. I want to make it straight and like all the way around, not twisted. And I'm going to do a staple on each side. And wouldn't you know, my staples ran out. So I'm going to pause it. Hang on a sec. Okay, grabbed a couple extra staples. Hopefully they have some. Stapling this together like this. And I'm going to use about 2 staples is enough there. So here's what I have. But it looks pretty flimsy, right? It's not connected on the sides. So the last thing I'm going to do is staple and line up as I staple those outside pieces. And you can see where they line up and match. And I'm just going to do 1 staple. See how that's now connected? And go all the way around. The last thing you will need if you want to hang this from the ceiling or a window or somewhere or a mirror is you can use a hole punch, or you can just carefully poke a hole with a pen or something. Being careful, you could poke a hole here, but make sure you're not too close to the edge so it pulls, and then you could tie a string through it. So you can see I'm almost done. I have 2 more staples left. Make sure you line up those cross marks from each of the pieces. And there you have a 3-dimensional snowflake. So another fun way to do it is if you have craft scissors, like pinking shears they're called, that have zigzags. When you do your cuts, that is kind of makes it more delicate or more lace-like. You could put glitter on this if you wanted to, but even just leaving it like this is fine. You could use colored paper if you want, not just white. So again, the supplies you're going to need are 6 squares of paper, whatever size you want. This was like an 8.5 by 8.5. But if I made one using 4 1/4, you can see that it's going to be about half the size if I use this size of paper. You're going to need tape, scissor, and a stapler, and maybe a ruler and pencil if you want to get really nice, even straight lines. Okay, enjoy making your snowflakes. I can't wait to see them.